I saw the email subject, urgent, review required. My heart lurched. It was from my sister Sarah, and I knew, just knew, something was terribly wrong. Had you ever felt that icy dread crawl up your spine? The kind that makes you want to run, but you're glued to the spot. Phoenix in 2025 shimmered outside my apartment window, a heat-hazed mirage of glass and steel. The AR ads for the latest blockchain investments flickered across the building opposite, their bright colors mocking my growing unease. I clicked the email. Attached was a PDF, labeled simply Financial Overview. Overview of what? My father's finances, apparently. And Sarah had flagged 17 separate discrepancies. 17. My father, David, 58 years old, pillar of the community, successful financial advisor. Or so I thought. He'd always provided for us, given us a comfortable life. He taught me about investments, about being smart with money. Now, looking at these numbers, I felt like I was staring at a stranger. $1,300,000 missing. Not just misplaced, but actively gone. I called Sarah, my voice shaking more than I wanted to admit. What is this, Sarah? Is this some kind of sick joke? It's not a joke, she said, her voice tight. I've been going over his accounts for weeks. Something didn't feel right after, you know. She trailed off, referencing our mother's passing last year. I hired a forensic accountant. This is his preliminary report. My head swam. A forensic accountant? And you didn't tell me? Why? Because I needed to be sure, because I didn't want to believe it. Look at page 5, the offshore accounts, the shell corporations. Offshore accounts, shell corporations. These weren't terms I associated with my father. These were terms I associated with criminals. I don't understand. He would never. He did, Sarah cut me off. He did. And it's not just about the money. It's about who he took it from. Small investors, retirees, people who trusted him. People who trusted him, like us. I stared at the flickering AR ads, feeling a wave of nausea. Had our entire life been built on a lie? Was everything I knew about my father a carefully constructed facade? What would you do if you were me? Would you even want to know the truth? That night, I couldn't sleep. The neon city lights flashed over the blinds, painting stripes across my face. I reread the report, each page a deeper cut. He had been diverting funds for years, funneling money into obscure accounts, using fake invoices and forged signatures. He'd even taken out loans in our mother's name just before she died. That thought alone made me want to scream. His office, a sleek space in downtown Phoenix, felt alien. I'd been there countless times, but now it felt like a stage set, designed to project an image of success and trustworthiness. He greeted me with a smile, oblivious. What a pleasant surprise. What brings you here? I held up the report. This brings me here. His smile faltered. What is that? Don't play dumb, Dad. Sarah sent it to me. The forensic accountant's report, the missing million. He sighed, running a hand through his thinning hair. I can explain. Explain what? Explain how you stole from people? Explain how you lied to us? Explain how you used Mom's name after she's gone? My voice rose, despite my best efforts. It's not like that, he said, his voice low. I was under pressure. Pressure? What kind of pressure makes you steal $1 million? He hesitated. I made some bad investments. Things got out of hand. I was going to pay it back. I swear. How? By stealing more money? He looked away, shame etched on his face. For the first time, I saw him not as my father, but as a fallible, deeply flawed man. And the sadness I felt was almost as overwhelming as the anger. Who else knows? I asked. Just Sarah, and the accountant, of course. And the people you stole from will know soon enough. Please, he begged, don't do this. Don't ruin everything. Ruin everything? He had already ruined everything. My faith in him, my trust in the world, my entire sense of family. But the plea in his eyes, it stopped me. What would exposing him do to Sarah? To the memory of my mother? Could I be the one to tear our family apart completely? I need time, I said, turning to leave. I need time to think. As I walked out, I heard him whisper, I'll fix it. I promise. But could he? Or was I just postponing the inevitable? Could you forgive him? Could you live with that kind of secret? Back at my apartment, my phone buzzed with an anonymous message. You're digging where you shouldn't. Stop now. My blood ran cold. Someone knew I was investigating. Someone was threatening me. This wasn't just about money anymore. This was dangerous. She had always been like a second mother to me. Maybe she knew something. Maybe she could shed some light on my father's actions. I met her at a cafe with free Wi-Fi and glass walls in Old Town Scottsdale. The bright sunshine felt like a cruel contrast to the darkness I carried inside. He's always been so generous, Eleanor said, stirring her latte. Your father, I mean. Always helping people out. Generous with other people's money, I said bitterly. Eleanor looked at me, her eyes filled with concern. What do you mean? I told her everything, laying out the facts, the figures, the suspicions. As I spoke, her expression changed from concern to disbelief, then to a dawning horror. I can't believe it, she said, shaking her head. David, no, it's not possible. It is possible, Eleanor. It's happening. She paused, then said slowly, there was something different about him lately. More stressed, more secretive. He mentioned a new investment opportunity, something with high returns. I didn't pay much attention at the time. A new investment opportunity. Another scam, probably. Did he say anything else? Anything that might help me understand why he did this? I pressed. Eleanor thought for a moment. He mentioned a debt. A large debt from years ago. He never said what it was for, but he seemed very worried about it. A debt? From years ago? What was my father hiding? As I left the cafe, I felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe there was a reason for his actions, a mitigating circumstance. Maybe he wasn't just a greedy thief. But as I reached my car, I noticed something odd. A small, almost imperceptible scratch on the door, and a faint smell of perfume, not my own. Someone had been in my car. I called Sarah, my voice tight with anxiety. Someone broke into my car, or at least they were inside. What? Are you okay? I'm fine, but I think they were looking for something, maybe the report. We need to be careful, Sarah said. This is getting out of control. Out of control? It had been out of control from the moment I opened that email. That night, I decided to do some digging of my own. I knew my father's password. I logged into his computer, hoping to find some clue, some explanation. I navigated through his files, a knot of anxiety tightening in my stomach. I found invoices, spreadsheets, emails, a labyrinth of financial documents. Then, hidden in a seemingly innocuous folder labeled Family Photos, I found it. A series of encrypted files. I ran a decryption program. It took hours. As the files slowly unlocked, I felt a growing sense of dread. What was I about to uncover? The first file was a scan of a document, a loan agreement, from 20 years ago. The amount, $500,000. The lender, a known loan shark. My father had been in debt to a dangerous man, and that debt had apparently never been repaid. The second file was a series of emails, dating back several years. They were from the loan shark, demanding payment, threatening my father and our family. The threats escalated over time, becoming increasingly graphic and violent. The third file was a photograph, a picture of my father, meeting with the loan shark in a dimly lit alleyway. The loan shark was handing him a package. The package looked like drugs. My blood ran cold. My father wasn't just a thief. He was involved with criminals. He was potentially a drug dealer. I closed the laptop, my hands shaking. I felt like I was going to be sick. How could I have been so blind? How could I have not seen this? I showed him the files, the loan agreement, the emails, the photograph. He didn't deny anything. It was a mistake, he said, his voice barely a whisper. I was young, I was stupid. I needed money for a business venture. I thought I could pay it back, but I couldn't. So you turned to crime? I had no choice. He threatened your mother, you, Sarah, and now you're stealing from innocent people to pay him off. I was trying to protect you, to protect all of you. His words rang hollow. He was trying to protect us by ruining our lives? Who else knows about this? I asked. Just him, and now you. What does he want? Everything. He wants everything I have. He wants to control me. I stared at him, my heart aching with a mixture of anger and pity. He was a broken man, trapped in a web of his own making. I'm going to the police, I said. His face crumpled. No, you can't. He'll kill us all. I can't live like this anymore, I said. I can't protect you anymore. As I reached for the phone, he lunged at me, grabbing my wrist. Don't do it, please. His grip was surprisingly strong. I struggled to break free. Let go of me. He wouldn't let go. He pulled me closer, his eyes filled with desperation. I'll fix it. I promise. Just give me one more chance. I pushed him away, hard. He stumbled backwards, hitting his head on the edge of the desk. He fell to the floor, unconscious. I stared at him, my heart pounding. Had I killed him? I checked his pulse. He was still alive, but barely. I called an ambulance. While waiting for the paramedics, I searched his office again, driven by a desperate need to know the full extent of his lies. I found a hidden safe, behind a bookshelf. I didn't know the combination, but I did know how to use a drill. Inside the safe, I found more documents, more evidence of his crimes. But I also found something else, a letter, addressed to me. I opened it, my hands trembling. It was from my mother. She wrote about her love for my father, her hopes for our family, her fears for the future. She also wrote about his debt, his struggles, his desperation. He's a good man, she wrote, but he's made some terrible mistakes. Please, if anything ever happens to me, please take care of him. Please forgive him. Tears streamed down my face. My mother knew. She knew everything, and she still loved him. The paramedics arrived. They took my father away. As I stood there, alone in his office, I realized I had a choice to make. I could expose him, ruin his life, and avenge the people he had wronged. Or I could protect him, honor my mother's wishes, and try to salvage what was left of our family. What would you do? Could you forgive him, knowing what he had done? Days turned into weeks. My father was in the hospital, recovering. The police were investigating. Sarah was a mess, torn between loyalty and anger. I visited my father every day. He was weak, remorseful, and terrified. I'm so sorry, he whispered. I ruined everything. I know, I said. What are you going to do? I hesitated. I don't know yet. Then, one afternoon, Sarah called. I found something, she said, her voice tight. Something you need to see. I met her at my apartment. She handed me a USB drive. It's from his computer, she said. I found it hidden in the recycle bin. He deleted it, but I managed to recover it. I plugged the drive into my computer. It contained a single video file. I clicked play. The video showed my father meeting with the loan shark. But this time, there was no package being exchanged. This time, my father was handing the loan shark a large sum of money. The loan shark counted the money, then smiled. Thank you, David, he said. Thank God, he said. It's not quite, he said. Now you work for me. My father's face fell. What do you mean? I mean, you're going to help me scam more people. And if you don't, I'll tell everyone about your little debt. And I'll make sure your daughters pay the price. My blood ran cold. My father hadn't been protecting us. He had been protecting himself. And he had agreed to become an accomplice, to steal more money, to hurt more people. I closed the laptop, my hands shaking with rage. He was beyond redemption. I called the police. I told them everything. My father was arrested. He was charged with multiple counts of fraud, embezzlement, and conspiracy. He faced years in prison. Sarah and I were left to pick up the pieces. We had to sell his assets, pay back the victims, and rebuild our lives. It was hard. It was painful. But we did it. In the end, I chose justice. I chose to expose my father, even though it meant destroying our family. It was the hardest decision I ever had to make. But it was the right one. Now, years later, I run a foundation that helps victims of financial fraud. I use my experience to educate people about the dangers of scams and to empower them to protect themselves. My father is still in prison. He is a shadow of his former self, but he is alive. And he is paying for his crimes. I haven't forgiven him. Not yet. But I have come to terms with what he did. I have learned that even the people we love the most are capable of terrible things. And I have learned that sometimes the only way to heal is to confront the truth, no matter how painful it may be. And maybe, just maybe, one day I'll be able to forgive him. But until then, I will continue to fight for justice, to protect the innocent, and to honor the memory of my mother. It wasn't easy. It nearly destroyed me, but I survived. I rebuilt, and I emerged stronger than before. It took everything to get back on my feet, but I did it. I started a consulting business, helping companies protect themselves from cyber threats, using everything I learned from my father's digital secrets against the very people he consorted with. Today, I'm a respected figure in the cybersecurity world, an industry leader speaking at conferences. I even wrote a book about my experience, a cautionary tale about trust, betrayal, and the enduring power of resilience. What he kept hidden didn't destroy me. It armed me. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever faced a similar situation? Have you ever been betrayed by someone you trusted? Write in the comments below what you'd choose. Like this video if you found it inspiring, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories of resilience and redemption. I'll destroy everything, but I'll build it back better. The silence after the arrest was deafening. The empty space where my father's presence used to be in our lives felt like a gaping wound. Sarah and I tried to navigate the legal proceedings, the media scrutiny, the sheer emotional fallout. People we thought were friends turned away, whispering behind their hands. Others, victims of my father's schemes, reached out, their stories heartbreaking testaments to his betrayal. One elderly woman, Mrs. Davison, had lost her entire life savings. She looked at me with such pain and confusion, her eyes brimming with unshed tears. I trusted him, she said, her voice trembling. He was such a nice man. How could someone be so charming, so seemingly trustworthy, and yet be capable of such cruelty? I felt responsible, even though I knew it wasn't my fault. I was his daughter. Shouldn't I have seen something? Shouldn't I have known? What would you have done if you were in my place? Would you have felt the same guilt, the same shame? Months crawled by. The trial began. The courtroom was packed with reporters, victims, and curious onlookers. My father pleaded not guilty. His lawyer argued that he was a victim of circumstance, that he had been coerced by the loan shark, that he had acted out of desperation. But the evidence was overwhelming. The prosecution presented a mountain of documents, emails, and testimonies. They painted a clear picture of a man who had systematically defrauded investors for years. I had to testify. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. I had to recount my father's lies, his manipulations, his betrayals. I had to watch him sit there, his face impassive, as I laid bare his crimes. During a break in the trial, my father's lawyer approached me. "He wants to talk to you," he said. I hesitated. Did I really want to speak to him after everything he had done? But I knew I had to. I met him in a small room near the courtroom. He looked older, weaker, more defeated than I had ever seen him. "I'm sorry," he said. his voice barely audible. I know I hurt you. I know I ruined everything. Why? I asked. Why did you do it? He sighed. I wanted to give you and Sarah the best possible life. I wanted to be a success. I wanted to make you proud. You could have done that without stealing from people, I said. I know, he said. I made a mistake. A terrible mistake. He paused, then said, There's something I need to tell you. Something I haven't told anyone. He told me about another account, hidden away in the Cayman Islands. An account with over $200,000. It's yours, he said. It's for you and Sarah. Use it to rebuild your lives. I stared at him, speechless. After everything, he was still trying to manipulate us, to control us. I don't want your money, I said. I want you to take responsibility for your actions. I am, he said. I'm going to prison. That's responsibility. No, I said. Responsibility is admitting what you did, telling the truth, and making amends to the people you hurt. He looked away, shame etched on his face. I don't know how, he said. The jury found him guilty on all counts. He was sentenced to 15 years in prison. As he was led away, he looked at me, his eyes filled with regret. I love you, he said. I didn't respond. I didn't know what to say. Back at my apartment, I stared at the Cayman Islands account information. $200,000. It could help me rebuild my life. It could help Sarah start a new business, but it was tainted money. It was money stolen from innocent people. What would you do? Would you take the money? Or would you give it back? I made a decision. I contacted the court-appointed receiver. I told him about the account. I asked him to use the money to compensate the victims of my father's fraud. He was surprised, but he agreed. Giving that money back felt like a weight lifted off my shoulders. It didn't erase the pain, but it gave me a sense of closure. It allowed me to start healing. Sarah, however, was furious. Are you crazy? She yelled. That was our money. We could have used that. It wasn't our money, I said. It was stolen. But we deserve it. We're the victims too. I know, I said. But we can't build our lives on stolen money. It would be wrong. Sarah stormed out of my apartment, slamming the door behind her. Our relationship was strained. She couldn't understand my decision. She felt like I had betrayed her, just like our father had. I felt alone, but I knew I had done the right thing. A few weeks later, I received a letter from Mrs. Davison, the elderly woman who had lost her life savings. She thanked me for my honesty and my compassion. She said that the money she received from the recovered assets had allowed her to pay her medical bills and to live out her days in peace. Her letter brought tears to my eyes. It reminded me that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope. I was slowly trying to forge a new path, helping to prevent fraud and empowering other people to be vigilant about their finances.